I need 2 more hands. My goofy visor.
You got it. You're doing roll out, man.
Now, for any of you sewers, you will know why this is so slick. One of David's pack stools.
9 ounces.
Ever since my brother Dave moved to Spokane about 40 years ago, John and I have been making the 1,200-mile trek up US 395. Growing up, Dave was the brother who was always out exploring, and if I applied constant pressure, he'd take me along. He turned his passion for the outdoors into a business. His first office was even an Airstream. We spent a busy week parked behind his home, talking shop, helping out in his business, taking advantage of his equipment, and getting in a few bike rides.
We are getting ready to leave our mooch docking spot at my brother's in Spokane, and John's filling up the water. There's a spot not too far from here where we can dump. I know there were a few people that wanted to meet up with us, and actually we just had zero time. I spent a lot of time helping my brother with different projects, and also working on the windshield cover project, which I'm going to update you. We just ran out of time, and of course with the pandemic it just makes things more complicated. So next time, but we come up here once a year at least, sometimes twice, and so there will be other opportunities.
Now the plug will fall out there, and that's fine.
On our first day, we rolled out 10 layers of fabric.
Die-cut cable.
We then weighted the fabric down to let it relax overnight. Before getting back to the project, we mowed the weeds around his factory. Back in the shop, I laid out the template and traced around it. Then my brother taught me how to use his fancy cutter, and I nervously cut out the blanks. And then I worked on 2 projects of my own.
So what are you doing?
I took some scraps from my windshield cover, and I'm making a shade for the passenger side of the van because you know those what are they called, the ones that stick to the glass when you to keep the sun out when you're driving. Nobody makes one for at least I haven't found one for the Mercedes, so I thought, no, maybe I can just use this and hold it in with magnets. So that's what I'm experimenting with. But what's more fun is I've been making these seat tops for one of my brother's seats, one of his chairs that he makes. So I've been sewing this on this amazing sewing machine. I want to take it with me. Love it. Now, for any of you sewers, you will know why this is so slick. So to wind your bobbin, put it on here, and you put your string, I don't know what happened to that. I don't know why that moved over. Put that on there. This will wind the bobbin as you sew. So watch this. Oh, you gotta put that up. Is that not slick? Oh, that is so amazing. So I'm just gonna hold these in with magnets, and so when the sun is on my side and we're driving, I can just put this up and not have that hot sun on my face. I just have these are just neodymium bar magnets. They're really strong though. You really have to lift them out like that. So these are great magnets, and I got 5 of them, and that's enough. It also helps to keep the bugs out when we're parked. I've been helping my brother sew the tops of the pack seats that he sells. And I just thought I'd share this interesting little bit about how much engineering goes into the making of something as simple as a three-legged stool. So this is 100% polyester with a little bit of a coating on the back. And this is the so I punched these out at his place the other day. And this is the straight of the grain, and of course this is the bias. And in order to keep the seat from kind of sinking in when you sit on it, you rotate these. So 3 layers, and you rotate this one so that this is the, oops, that's not straight. That's the straight. So got the straight of the grain here, the straight of the grain here. And these screws are actually just to help in the sewing. And then this is the straight of the grain, and this one gets flipped over because this is the pretty side. And then you take it over to the machine. I've got one here started. So let me turn it on. And these screws just help align all the holes because the finished product, has the leg coming out there. And then the other reinforcing part is the stitches. It's just lint. So stitch here too, and this also helps to secure the all of those different angles of fabric together so you don't sink into the seat. So you get a nice firm support on the seat. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. So he told me where he bought this machine. It's actually not very far from where we live. So I'm gonna go in and see the guy and see if, I'm not gonna get this one because this one is a little too complicated, too much software involved, but there's a Juki that my brother has that I also like. So I'm gonna see if I can get a used Juki, which would be like a dream come true. We are in Plummer, Idaho. Gonna go on a, how many mile ride is this, Dave?
From Harrison, I think from here it's almost, I'm gonna guess 15 at the most.
Round trip, it's only 50?
One way.
Okay, so about 30 miles. Round trip. And he says there's ice cream halfway.
No, at Harrison. So it's halfway.
Halfway, ice cream halfway.
Yeah, it's an old railroad grade. It goes over a couple of trestles, one trestle, and it follows the creek down, drops about 800 feet to Lake Coeur D'Alenes. Then we go over the turntable bridge down over at Coeur d'Alene Lake. They're at Harper-Barnes State Park. Really a neat little, the first state park in Idaho is right down there. It's really a nice state park. You can rent cabins, you can camp, and then there's lots of hiking trails on the ridges above it. Pretty neat spot. And then from there we go to Harrison along the shores of Lake Coeur d'Alene.
Okay, well, we've been there. Okay, great.
Wow. Wow. 13 inches tall. Around 19 bucks.
$19. One of David's pack stools.
9 ounces.
Put the link below.
The
Okay, we
link.
started in Plummer there. And we are, where are we now?
Very close to the crossing of Lake Coeur d'Alene.
Okay. And where are we going?
Harrison, which is at that point right there.
Okay.
right there at Harrison.
That you can go
That's
all
where
the
the
way.
ice cream stand is.
Okay, and you could all go all the way
Yeah,
up
about
to
75
Mullen.
miles to Mullen. And then it connects into the another rails to trails, but it doesn't have any asphalt on it. It's all gravel.
Oh.
And I think it might be open for trucks.
Tell me about the how you converted your bike to an electric bike.
I bought a Leeds front hub, Leeds Leeds out of Utah.
Okay.
And then that worked pretty well, but it didn't quite have enough torque to get up anything. So then I bought the rear Leeds hub. So these are Leeds bicycle hubs, and each one has a battery. So there's a battery here,
Oh, I see.
and there's
Okay.
a battery here for the back one.
Okay, and who was faster going uphill?
You were.
And tell me,
The
so how much did the two hubs cost?
The two hubs cost right around $1,800.
So you paid more for you paid more to turn your bike into an electric bike
Yes.
than we did for our bike.
Correct, but there's a huge difference. This
Yeah.
is a full suspension bike.
Yeah.
So the rear end, they've got 5 inches of travel back there, and that's good for the old bones.
Okay.
But
Well,
now there's one other
the
thing
other
you gotta
advan-
know this. I
Yeah.
can take this 2-wheel drive bike and I take
Yeah.
the front hub off and put it on Isabel's Klein.
Okay,
and
but-
we have 2 bicycles.
Okay, but the advantage to this is that it looks like a normal bike,
Oh,
so people aren't gonna
see, you can
get all over you if
See
you.
the disc brake is bigger
Yeah.
than the hub,
Yeah.
front and rear, and most people don't even see that.
Yeah, they
I
don't
am
see it.
trying to sew a strap on here so that my walking stick will stay on, or I can just carry it on my bag. Think these are big enough? Okay, carry. For going downhill, 2 sticks are great. For going uphill, I'm usually carrying a camera, so I only carry 1 stick, but I want to have 2 coming down. So I'm hoping that I can just then strap this on here like this, and that will stay in place. I think it's going to work. Here you go. Yep, because before it flopped around too much. So I think that's going to work.
So today I want to give you an update on the windshield cover that I made for the Sprinter van, and what I've decided is with regard to selling it. So, but first let me bring the new folks up to speed. If you've missed the episode where I made this cover, I will link it below and in a card here. But several of you had expressed interest in purchasing this cover, and so I wanted to kind of bring you up to date. So several months ago, I purchased about 4 yards of materials from Sailrite to make a windshield cover. And in doing this project, I realized 3 things. First, it's a little bit more challenging than most people want to undertake. The second thing I learned was that making the template was probably the hardest part and the most time-consuming part. And the third thing I realized was that I had access to better materials through my brother, who owns a company in Spokane called Camptime, and he makes a line of products for camping. He makes a roll-up table that a lot of boaters like because it has wood slats in it, and so it floats if it goes in the water. He has a line of stools and a cot that he keeps updating, and his latest rendition, I don't think it's out yet, but his plan is to bring out his cot that has an air mattress that's built into it, and it's really comfortable. But that's a different matter. But my brother uses a mesh that is very similar to the one that I purchased from Sailrite. But the advantage to his mesh is that he purchases it in 72-inch widths, which is exactly what I need for the windshield. One of the things I realized was that the Sailrite material at 54 inches wide meant that I had to piece 3 pieces together. So the windshield part and then the 2 side doors. And that had to be pieced, and that makes it more challenging because those angles have to be precise. So for my purposes, the 72-inch mesh was perfect. So we drove up to Spokane largely to talk to him about possibly producing these or getting the materials from him, or everything that goes into making something like this. On the way, we stopped in Ashland, Oregon, and met up with viewers, and I left a prototype with them. They have the same year and model that we have, and I wanted to know what they thought of it and any other issues that came up. And it turns out they really like this because this was Doug and his wife, Karen, and she works a lot in the front of the camper, and the solid shades that go in the front are, makes it feel like you're in a cave. And she works a lot up there, so she really likes being able to see out, but also have some privacy. Now, this mesh gives you privacy during the day because it's hard to see through it. Not impossible, but it's harder to see through it. And it also keeps the temperature down. It's a little bit hard for me to tell you the difference in temperature because we have special coating on our van on the windshield and the 2 side doors. It's a clear film that reduces the ultraviolet light that comes into the van. That also helps to reduce the heat. But the mesh, it was a real game changer, and it makes it much more comfortable. One of the things, though, that I developed a concern about was the magnets that I'm using to hold the screen on. They actually do a good job. They're neodymium magnets, which are quite strong, but I'm worried that it might scratch someone's paint. So if someone's not careful, they drop them in the soil or something, they get dirt on them, it could scratch paint. And the last thing I want is any kind of liability for scratching the paint of their cars. So I have decided that I'm going to rethink the magnets and possibly work on suction cups instead of magnets. And I'm going to do that with some of the blanks that I brought home with me. So while we were at my brother's, I cut out 10 blanks. And basically what a blank is it's the template, which is the most time-consuming part of the project. And it's also the fabric, and I know that you would have a really tough time buying this fabric. And so if I just make the template out of the fabric, then I've killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So I have decided that as I continue to work on perfecting this, I can sell you a blank. And so if you are a sewer, if you want to take on the project and finish it yourself, so you can determine how you want the binding to be, how you want to stick it on your vehicle, then I can do that. And so I will sell those for $50 for the template, which is the blank, and you can finish the project on your own. You can buy the bias binding that I used on mine, which was 1-inch bias binding. I bought it from Sailrite. It's like 55 cents a foot. So it does require, that is a big expense with regard to this project. So you can do that. You could buy your own magnets if you want. I actually sewed little pockets in the corners for the magnets to help protect the paint of the vehicle. You can decide how you might want to finish that, whether you want to figure out some way to loop it around the door, whatever it is. If you want. So I will aggregate all the orders and then give my brother, X number of blanks that people want. He will cut them out and he will ship them because he already has all the accounts and everything that's needed. So it will be $50 plus shipping and sales tax. And then down the road, when we get home, I'm going to do more experimenting with the suction cups and a way to mount these so they don't cause any damage. And then if I decide to make these, then I will let you know about, what it will cost and all the details with regard to the finished product. Now, the only caveat that I need to tell you is that this blank will only fit the 2008 through 2018 Mercedes Sprinter van. I do not have my hands on the newer Sprinter vans. I probably will meet up with a viewer who has one, and I can try it out on his, and then I can let you know if it fits the newer models. But right now, I can't guarantee that.
But I imagine that if it is close, I can make some adjustments, and then if somebody wants to buy one of those blanks, I can adjust that. So in the description box below, I will have my email. So if you're going to email me, tell me you are interested and that you have a Mercedes Sprinter van that is between the years 2008 and 2018. A few people have asked whether it keeps the mosquitoes out, and yes, if you can get a fairly tight fit, it doesn't have to be super tight, but we have used it that way. We roll the windows down in the front and just keep that on, and it does act like a mosquito net for the front windows. So that's worked out really well as well. And finally, I just want to thank all of you guys for your support and words of encouragement. And I look forward to being able to provide a high quality product to those of you who want a front windshield cover. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Here's my new sunshade in action. So where are we off to? Well, we're not sure which route we're going to take, but we're off to first Craters of the Moon. We want to check that out, and then to Colorado to see my oldest brother, who's at the RV. What's it called? The Family. No, that's not what it is. Fun Valley RV in Colorado.